Principality Power Playbook, strategy number 8. The king goes crazy. Basically, the leaders in power, they start to look crazy. You don't know why they're making the rules that they are, why are these laws coming out that seem and look so crazy to you? Everybody knows it looks crazy. The emperor has no clothes on. Everyone knows. But it's a part of the power playbook. The laws are changing. You know it's crazy. The king has actually gone crazy. So this is Daniel 4 that I'm going to read to you to show you um, to show you what has happened. Because remember, from the previous strategy, the people that have been placed close to the people who are actually in power starts to let them go crazy, basically, with misinformation, bad advice, wrong advice, feeding them just information that's all wrong, giving them data that's not correct, telling them lies, deceiving them for years and years and years and years until they start to lose all rationality. And so they have gone crazy, and the people are in confusion, and even the people themselves have started to go crazy. But it's only because their advisors, their companions, the people who are closest to them are not all the people. It's remember, it's the principalities power playbook. So some of the people who has the greatest influence on them are giving them wrong information, bad information, erroneous information, deceptive information because they want to manipulate them into behaving a certain way. So this is Daniel 4, the story of Nebuchadnezzar, the king that actually went crazy, basically because Jeremiah was in his household, feeding him misinformation that led him to become crazy. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at home in my palace, contented and prosperous. He's oblivious. He's just happy and content as can be until the mind virus gets to him, and then everything changes. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at home in my palace, contented and prosperous. I had a dream that made me afraid. So the mind virus got to him. He had a dream, and the reason why he had a dream is because in his court has been conversations and they've been planting ideas into him this whole time until it seeps into his subconscious mind now, and he starts to manifest it in his own thoughts and his dreams. I had a dream that made me afraid. As I was laying in bed, the images and visions that passed through my mind terrified me. Do you know anyone in society today that's terrified, anxious, afraid? For what? Why are they anxious, terrified, and afraid living in America? Right? Living in your palace with fast food and air conditioned and 2 and 3 cars in your garage. Why are you terrified? Did the mind virus get you? It's a power play. I was lying in bed. The images and visions that passed through my mind terrified me. So I commanded that all the wise men of Babylon be brought before me to interpret the dream for me. Brings the enemy to advise him, comfort him. The enemy, he's bringing the enemy to comfort him when his mind is unrattled. When the magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and diviners came, I told them the dream, but they could not interpret it for me. Finally, Daniel, oh, I'm so sorry. I think I said Jeremiah before. It's Daniel, came into my presence, and I told him the dream. He is called Belshazzar, after the name of my God and the spirit of the holy gods in him. I said, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in you. The spirit of something is in him. And no mystery is too difficult for you. Here is my dream, interpret it for me. These are the visions I saw while laying in bed. I looked, and there before me stood a tree in the middle of the land. Its heights was enormous. The tree grew tall and strong, and its top touched the sky. It was visible to the ends of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, its fruit abundant, and on it was food for all. Under it, the wild animals found shelter, and the birds lived in its branches. From it, every creature was fed. Sounds like a good tree, right? Sounds like this tree is doing its thing. Let's see what the interpretation says. In the visions I saw while laying in bed, I looked, and there before me was a holy one, a messenger. Coming down from the heavens, he called in a loud voice, cut down the tree and trim off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the animals flee from under it and the birds from its branches. Now, why would someone from heaven a holy one, want to come down and cut down this tree? Because from all descriptions, this tree is a good tree. So why would someone from heaven wants to come down and cut this tree down so that not even the shade, cut the branches and the leaves, not even the shade is going to be of benefit to people under it? Let the animals flee from under it and the birds from its branches. But let the stump and its roots, bound with iron and bronze, remain in the ground, in the grass of the field. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him live with animals among the plants of the earth. Let his mind be changed from that of a man, and let him be given the mind of an animal. Let his mind be changed. He doesn't even believe that he's a man anymore. I'm not a man. Who are you then? I'm an animal. Are you an animal? What does your biology say you are? No, because whoever he has close to him is telling him that he's an animal, right? Telling him that he's an animal and no longer a man until the point where he's now been driven crazy. Let his mind be changed from that of a man. The mind virus has gotten to him. And let him be given the mind of an animal till 7 times pass by for him. The decision is announced by the messengers. The holy ones declare the verdict so that the living may know that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and gives them to anyone he wishes and sets over them the lowliest of people. Sets over them the lowliest of people and gives sovereign over all kingdoms to whom he wishes, right? Principality, power play. This is the dream that I, King of Nebuchadnezzar, had. Now, Belshazzar, now my enemy, tell me what it means. For none of the wise men in the kingdom, people who are telling you, King, you're okay. You're a man. We're here for you. Please listen to us. Take care of yourself. Know that you are a man. None of the wise people, these are wise men. The Bible tells you straight. For none of the wise men in my kingdom can interpret it. So these wise men can't interpret it. You don't want to listen to their interpretation. So you go get your enemy to interpret it for you. But you can, because the spirit, what spirit? The spirit of the mind virus, of the holy gods is in you. Daniel interprets the dream now. Then Daniel, also called Belshazzar, was greatly perplexed for a time, and his thoughts terrified him. So the king said, do not let the dream or its meaning alarm you. Even Daniel is like, am I going to wreck this man? Am I really going to do it? Am I really going to do it? Belshazzar answered, my lord, if only the dream applied to your enemies and its meaning to your adversaries. The tree you saw, which grew large and strong, with its top touching the sky, visible to the whole earth, with beautiful leaves and abundant fruit, providing food for all. This is a good tree. This is not a bad tree. People read this and they're saying this is a bad tree. How do you get that? How do you get that from this? giving shelter to the wild animals and having nesting places in its branches for the birds. Your Majesty, you are the tree. You have become great and strong. Your greatness has grown until it reaches the sky, and your dominion extends to the distant parts of the earth. Your Majesty's star, Holy One, a messenger coming down from the heaven and saying, cut down the tree and destroy it. Cut down this great big tree that provides such benefit for so many things and people and animals. How do you say cut down the tree and destroy it? But leave the stump and bound with iron and bronze in the grass of the field, while its roots remain in the ground. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven. Let him live with the animals until 7 times pass by for him. This is the interpretation, Your Majesty, and this is the decree, bad advice. The Most High has issued against my Lord the King, against you. You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like the fox. Now he's going mad. And be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 times will pass by for you until you acknowledge. You must affirm. You must acknowledge this craziness that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and give them to anyone he wishes. The Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and just gives them, just take people's things and gives them to other people. The command to leave the stump of the tree with its roots means that your kingdom will be destroyed to you when you acknowledge that heaven rules. You're going to be destroyed until you acknowledge all that we want you to acknowledge. Therefore, Your Majesty, be pleased to accept my advice. Renounce your sins by doing what is right, and your wickedness by being kind to the oppressed. It may be that when your prosperity will continue. All this happened to kill King Nebuchadnezzar. 12 months later, as the king was walking on the roof of the royal palace of Babylon, he said, is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty? Because they were trying to say that King Nebuchadnezzar is very vain and he was building things for himself, right? Which you can see from the tree that it benefited a lot of people. Even as the words were on his lips, a voice came from heaven. This is what is decreed for you, King Nebuchadnezzar. Your royal authority has been taken from you. You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like the ox. 7 times will pass by for you until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdom on earth and gives them to anyone he wishes. Immediately, mind virus has gotten him now. Immediately, what has been said about Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled. He was driven away from the people and ate grass like the ox. He actually, in his mind, now is thinking that he's an animal and not a man anymore. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair grew like the feathers of an eagle and his nails like the claws of a bird. At the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes towards heaven, and my sanity was restored. Then I praised the Most High. I honored and glorified him who lives forever. So, in his sanity now, thinking he's an animal when he's a man, and he's been driven mad, he now starts to believe this, and he starts to affirm himself in his craziness. So he's actually started believing his own craziness. And so power um, strategy number 8, says that the leaders will go crazy. And so now they're believing their lunacy. And now they're passing laws that are so ridiculous and so crazy. And so everything is just turned upside down because the actual king, the mind virus was planted there for years, years and years, and Ray is slowly chipping away at it, slowly peeling at it. And so now he has been overrun, even though the wise men were there giving him good advice, even though he sees the truth of his tree that it provided such benefits. But because the plants has been there activating all this time, they have planted the mind virus in his mind. And so now he believes to his own mental confusion and demise. And so now he actually believes his insanity. At the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes towards heaven and my sanity was restored. Even though he's crazy, he thinks his sanity. Now he sees the truth. Then I praise the Most High, honored and glorified him, lives forever. Oh my goodness. So even though he's a crazy one, he thinks that he's sane because he's so totally convinced. Do you see this anywhere in society today? Do you see these power plays at all? This is principality power playbook to the core, to the T. I mean, it is so interesting to me that these power plays, you see them in society. Do you read your Bible? Do you see these things? This is amazing. So now the leaders have gone crazy. The king has gone mad. He doesn't realize he has gone mad. He thinks he's sane and he's thanking God that he has now been changed, been turned around so much now that he can actually see the truth. That his tree that was providing such benefit to everything around it needed to be chopped down and turned into a stump